Okay, the most, I think there is a Rodney somewhere here. Rodney, you all know by now, Rodney is the director of the Mahatma Gandhi. And Mahatma Gandhi's lot of books impressed him. But the most powerful book he wrote was a book that really impressed him, was the title called Unto the Last. And this Unto the Last was written by a guy called Harold Ruskin. And in that one he tells a story about a lot of stories, but the most important story, a ship is sinking. And if a ship is sinking, who should really jump first and who should be the last? That's right. That's exactly correct. So the important is the captain of the ship should not jump until every passenger has jumped. So we want to really try, because you all know you are here not because of me. I have nothing to do with it. The only work that has been done is all these 10 volunteers. And I want to have more. Before you leave today, there are 2 things I am asking you. Just asking you 2 things. Please do me a favor. That before you leave today, please make sure, just give a 1-minute comment to Jim. Jim is over there. He's have a camera. Okay, Jim is there. So we would like to finish the program today around 10:45. So therefore we have a 15 minutes. So therefore you come and he will just simply tape it and just say, how do you like it? If you like it, if you don't like it, if there is something we can do, whatever we can try to do, just let us know. That will. And the second thing is, if you are interested in volunteering, please write. The one thing I am not as important, but as much as important are these people, Emily Taylor. Emily Taylor and Joanne Stencil, Helga told me they really have been working on the telephone all last week. So let us give a good clap for Emily and Joanne. You would not believe, last week I saw Joanne a couple of times, and I said, Joanne, and Joanne will grab anybody at HealthPlex. And he said, you got to come. And there was one guy who did not want to. She said, okay, come on, listen, I am going to tell you. And she spent almost 30 minutes convincing him, and the person is here. So we need those kind of the volunteers. That's what the volunteers are important. That's what we are really looking forward, okay? So thank you, Emily. And thank you, Joanne. I really appreciate. And of course, the next one, let's give a round of applause for Jim. And okay. So Jim, let us give, he is the guy, he is really recording all that. In case if you want to really get it, we will try to have the tapes, and we will try to put these tapes on the web. So you will try to see the webs over there. Then the next one is, of course, the guy who came and put some words in my ear, you know, that is Andre Jog. That's our yoga guru. He's going to really disturb you in about 35-40 minutes and tell about his stretching. So let's give a good round of applause for Andre. He really tries to bring everybody over here. Important that is over there. And who should really not thank Carol? Everybody knows Carol. Okay. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Carol. Happy birthday to you. Give me a big hug. Okay. Good. See, that's what the important reason. Just imagine, we need people. Remember, the most interesting thing in the life we have been talking since life is not what you earn and make. Remember, that's, I think, as Churchill said it, what you make living, but really how you make your life very important. She has been, as long as I have known her, dedicated cause to those things. Can we have the next slide, please? Okay. This is the next slide is a really very important. I wanted to really say you must have seen, because Some of you must have seen, this is Yukimura Murmur. This is the man, people always tell me, one of the biggest things that I have heard in this group, that they say, oh, I'm old, I'm not. Remember, number one, you are as old as you think. That's all. And that's the reason I wanted to really put this slide. Here is a guy, he is a 80-year-old. Then somebody from Japan, that is on 23rd of May, climbed the Mount Everest, 29,000 feet, 29,038. And this, you see the son, his son. If you really want to have a son or something should be like that, he is a physician. He also went, both of them, they went, climbed over there. And the important thing that he really says something, this is something that, and he said, I have a dream to climb Mount Everest at this age, at 80-year-old. So if you are 80-year-old, don't just think that you still have to climb the one of the Mount Everest. And then he says, if you have a dream, never give up. Dreams always come true. In my previous life, I remember I used to talk really three things I used to, when people always come, oh, I don't have money, how can I start business? How? I say, everybody has opportunity, equal. We live in a land of opportunity. Everybody has the opportunity here. It doesn't matter where you were born. In this great land of opportunity, everybody can materialize their dream. The only three things you have to do. Remember, I always said, think unthinkable. That's what all entrepreneurs do. Steve Jobs, Michael, whatever, whoever that you want, I can keep on. That's not a lecture that you want to hear here. And second, the most important thing is, reach unreachable. Most of us, we try to reach the things that we can easily reach. No. Because in this case, he really had a heart surgery in January. And he has you say, oh, my hip. He has a 2 years back hip, his was broken. 2 years back. I'm not telling you this, I'm not making this. You can go Google or whatever the way that you can. So everything that you can order. So think unthinkable, reach unreachable, and dream impossible. Don't try to have the dreams that you already have with you. Dream impossible. And that if you can really try to do it, you can do it. Whatever you want to do it. Doesn't matter. The age and all those are limits. We are going to have a presentation that second part of our presentation is going to be about that we will talk about relaxation and others. And my teacher, who is from India, he is going to come. As a matter of fact, he will talk, but if you really want to really have a lot of his teachings we have brought there. So in case during the break, if you want to have, there are tapes and there are books and there are DVDs and CDs, all of them are there that you can if you want to grab them, you can grab them there. So remember, the important thing is, it is not really important that whether you are a 17-year-old or 70-year-old. The question is whether you are willing to really achieve and have the dream. That is possible. As a matter of fact, to tell you something, there is going to be a guy who is from Nepal. He is an 81-year-old. He is going to climb next week without oxygen. 81-year-old. So don't worry about this age business. This age business is completely that. Don't try to think that there are limitations. Don't think that you are going to be bounded by something. We are going to be the unbounded, limitless, those with all the potential that we can really utilize. Next. Okay, so the important thing that's what we are going to do, and can maybe Andre could come and then we are going to have our speaker. I think that's the next slide, if I remember correctly. That maybe Carol is trying to play with it. Jim, you want to take away this on our? I'm going to introduce our. Oh, do not forget that. Yeah, these are the 5 ideas that we have been telling all along. I have to keep on repeating. Almost remember, We have to remember habit as all the Harvard studies and all those. These are the 5. There are some of you have told me how these 5 ideas have really created a miracle for everybody. Number 1, how many glasses of water you drink? Tell me how many? 10. At least, but go to 12. Some of you have already told me. So that is a very important. And where is my folder? I think I had my folder. My bag was there, Indra. You remember my folder was there in the bag somewhere, but if you can, okay. The second thing is, how many hours of your sleep? 7. See, T knows it. The how many hours you are good? Minimum 7 hours of sleeps are required. If you can sleep 8 or 9, that's fine. Because we talk about all kind of the deficit. One of the biggest kind of the deficit that we really have in this country is the sleep. And if we are not going to really have the sleep 7 hours, it is not only affects our really other things, but it also really causes obesity. One of the reasons that we can really try to come across. Okay, the third, how many cans of soft drink you drink? 0. Yeah, because in my folder, in my bag, somewhere it is here. And I think in that bag I have a whole full page ad. And that full page ad, Wall Street Journal, that Coke has put. And you know what is that full page ad is? Coke has the first time admitted that we are not going to have any more commercial of soft drink, any more commercial of soft drinks in a TV for the programs that are shown to the kids under the age of 12. Can you believe that? Let's give a good. Oh, this is folder is here. Okay, thank you. I got it. I got. See, what can I do without my wonderful wife, huh? That's it. Okay, this is the one I wanted to really show you. This is you could not really believe it. This is sometimes that I want to really, this is the full page ad from Wall Street Journal. And they have got all of kind of the things are there. We are going to offer low or no calorie beverages. And then they'd help get moving people, supporting physical activity programs in every country where we do business. They want to have a magic of movements. They know the sedentary life is the killer life that causes obesity that is there. And provide transparent nutrition information featuring calories on front of all our packages. And market responsibility, including no advertising to children under 12 years anywhere in the world. Anywhere in the world. Now this has happened because of you. You really told, because now they are going to really realize. And then the Wall Street Journal, America, the biggest businesses learned the language of the what? The dollar. This is a Wall Street Journal. Is this the end of the soft drink era? Is this the end? Friends, I gave a talk last month to Atlanta and I told them, if there is one prediction I have to make, 50 years back, remember 50 years back there used to be something people used to really do that, and that was causing death, and all those companies were fighting, no, cigarettes don't kill. People kill themselves. Look where cigarette is now. This is the same thing is going to happen to soft drink industry. We will have the labels, we will have the direction, because 20%, the article, in case some of you have read that article I wrote to paper last week, the editor was questioning, I don't know whether he said he will be here, whether he is here or not. So 20% of our calories that we drink are sugar calories, they are nothing but sugar. We don't really need, we are consuming 157 pounds of sugar per year. 100 years back, only 7 pounds we were using. And it's not sugar. Much worse is it is a fructose, which is even worse than sugar. We don't really need it. When I was flying back last week from California, on my plane, they have there is I think, the napkin, and on the napkin I just stole it. And on the napkin, what it says here? Lots of choices. First is this dark, and then there is a completely water. This is there. So you can get exactly, this is what, again, along with our regular beverages, we offer many low and no calorie drink, so you can get exactly what you want. This is a Coca-Cola, the mother of all soft drinks. So if they can do it, so this is because of you. Okay, how many fruits and vegetable servings you have to have? Minimum at least 3. If you can have 4 or 5, that's better. And the last but not the least, we will have our speaker from India that is going to really tell you about how many minutes of downtime, silence. That is very important. I have also put on your on a chair. This is a story. If you have not run, we have put. This is a publication was done several years back, but you can Google it. Okay. Next one, Jim. Could you come and change? Let me introduce our speaker. Our speaker, Andre. Could you take all these, please? See, the important thing, our speaker, that for this morning, the program is going to be on 2 parts. And, got it?
Yeah.
How about this one, Jim's business?
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I got her.
Doctor.
I got her.
We are going to have a program is going to be in 2 parts. Okay, first part is going to be Dr. Clark. She is going to talk about
Are you ready?
and after that she will finish up with the
Okay.
next very
Let me get the mic on.
Okay, sure.
You need this for the computer?
Right here.
and after the break we will have a conclusion. Okay? So let us give a Dr. Clark if she's on if you want to hang around here. And after the program,
There are several
I would like to really
PowerPoints on it. This one has to be Mom PPT.
Mom PPT.
Yes.
and also if you have time, let me show you
How we doing?
Just trying to point it towards your face. Okay, and if you could hook that on the back of your pants and then this one on. Thanks, you can stand up.
Okay, this goes on the back.
Yeah.
she is a practicing psychiatrist in this town.
Because the pocket doesn't go all the way down, does it? If you just hook this one beside it there.
She is a very, and she was so willing. When I used to be in the hospital at that time, I have a good friendship.
I know that looks crazy.
She had always.
It's okay.
I asked her, she said, yes, you tell me the date and I will be there.
We okay?
That's the way my most of the speaker. Let's give a good round of applause.
Just don't want to break it.
I want to pull this.
Okay.
Michael, can you take this one and put the other
You have to eject it.
Yeah. I don't want to break it.
one? Very good. That's it for that exercise. Thank you for your time.
Okay. Good morning. I'm very glad to be here. I'm actually honored to be here. Dr. Ghanem is an old friend of mine. We were on committees together at Kafir Valley. And I hadn't seen him for a while when he approached me at the Healthplex. And I was in the middle of an intermediate intensity exercise program. And I knew that my internal marijuana molecules were coursing around in my body and making me feel relaxed. And so he approached me and said, well, how would you like to talk about stress? Well, so I had endorphins, I had endocannabinoids floating around my system. Sure, I'll talk about stress. Absolutely. When I got home and those wonderful chemicals started to wear off, it occurred to me that I had never spoken about stress before. I had never researched it before formally. If you want me to do a talk on delirium tremens, I can do that in my sleep. But stress was a whole new topic for me. So at that instant, I understood what the feeling was that I was going to be talking about this morning. The second stress was that I have a Mac on which I made this PowerPoint, and the laptop here is Windows. And those two companies don't like each other at all, although they do have some friendly conversations. And so the PowerPoint seems to be incompatible with the laptop until this very bright gentleman, Mike, help me out.
Next slide.
Yes. Okay. There's a slide. There should be another one of Seeley.
Which one?
This one, this one.
Okay, I just had to click it.
Okay. Okay, so the talk is divided into several portions, and the first part of the lecture will discuss the people who first started thinking about stress and who formalized their discussions. So Hans Seeley was an experimentalist, and he did what many people do to discover human concepts, and that is he tortured some laboratory animals gently. He made them uncomfortable and he made them stressed. And in 1936, he developed the concept of the general adaptation syndrome. His work was based on the work of Walter Cannon. I don't have his picture up, but Walter Cannon in the 1920s coined the term homeostasis. And homeostasis is a very beautiful term. Homeostasis is a state of balance and equilibrium, and he postulated that the body always tries, when it is disturbed by whatever, including stress, it always strives to return to this equilibrium point where there is essentially calm in the body. Seeley followed him and started working on the physiology of the stress response. And he came up with the general adaptation syndrome, as I mentioned. He also came up with the fight or flight reaction. So that was in 1936. In 1974, Richard Lazarus became interested in the concept, and he added some variations to the concept of stress that I think were very helpful. He talked about eustress, which is a healthy stress. So when I was relaxed at the gym before I came to my senses, I was in the middle of some intermediate intensity exercise. That is eustress. That is stress that's good for us. There is stress that is good for us. It helps us to become creative. It motivates us. It makes us feel good, actually. There is stress that makes us feel good. If you take an examination and you go to the lecture hall and you find out that you've done very well on the exam, that whole experience is eustress. It's stressful, but it's very positive. Well, then he talked about distress. And we all know about distress. How many of you, by the way, have not been stressed in the past week? It's exactly what I thought I was going to get. I didn't want to divide it down into the past hour, but the past week, I thought we would have no response. So he talked about distress, and that prefix, dis-ease, distress, it's the opposite of what is good for you. Dis-ease means that you are ill at ease because you have an illness. So distress is something which is caused by the feeling that our resources can't match what is being required of us or requested of us at the time. And as far as homeostasis is concerned, in homeostasis I like to think of the body's reaction as pushing out against a force which is trying to disrupt us. In the situation of distress, I like to think of the fact that there is more input coming in and pushing on us than we can handle, and so we feel distressed. So the weight of the force pushes us down. Okay. All right, this is the general adaptation syndrome, which was discovered or first postulated by Seeley. So phase one is normal. Phase one is good health, where we're just using all of our body's organ systems to keep us in a state of homeostasis. And then we have a stressor. And all of you can think of a million stressors that you have experienced in the past year. And when the stressor occurs, there's a physiologic reaction. So when Andre was helping you relax, one thing that he wanted to do was to get your heart rates down. Well, one thing that your body does immediately when you're stressed is increase your heart rate. It increases the blood flow to your brain. It increases the blood flow to your muscles. So that if you were a llama and there was a lion chasing you, you would be able to escape that lion. So that's what happens in phase 2. And that's when we try to react appropriately. So if we have an acute stress, our body is programmed to allow us to cope with that acute stress. And I will explain that to you physiologically in a few moments. When the stress becomes chronic, it overwhelms the body. And then the body is not able to return to its equilibrium point. And that's when we get sick. And that's when we develop disease from the distress. Phase 4 obviously is where we don't want to be. Now, if we get to phase 4, I can talk to you about my profession and what you can do to help yourself if you really feel like you're overwhelmed. Okay, next slide, please. All right. Now, Dr. Ghanem asked me to talk about brain development briefly and also the concepts of the development of the mind. And those are very, very, very interesting. So, you know, every medical student dreads the neuroanatomy classes. I thought that I would just encapsulate that for you by showing a fetus development. I will very quickly go over the different parts of the brain that develop so that you have some understanding. So the hindbrain, so the most tail part of the brain is the part which is most primitive, and it's like the reptilian brain. And so it takes care of functions of survival. So body temperature, some heart rate. There's also part of the brain that develops early called the cerebellum, and the cerebellum is responsible for balance and coordination. Very important, if you're a developing organism, you don't want to be falling down all the time. So it was really important to keep us balanced very early. That's the first part of the brain development. So the second part is called the midbrain, and that would be in the fetus very close to the one that looks most human. And the midbrain has more survival functions, but they get a little bit specialized. And so functions of vision and hearing are developed during the development of the midbrain. And your ability to screen out light, the pupillary reflex, your ability to focus, your hearing ability develop in this middle part of the brain. There are also then all sorts of sensory connections that connect higher parts of the brain with lower parts of the brain. So the crowning glory of the brain's development is the crown, which is the cerebral cortex. And it's convoluted. It's not very clear from this picture, but this picture was selected because I heard the slides were not easy to see, and it has great color contrast. So I knew everyone in the room could see it. So our cerebral cortex is really, it is the part of the brain that goes over the rest of the brain, and it is convoluted. And for those of you who sew, you know that when something is gathered, you need much more material. You can get much more material in the same place if you gather it. Basically, that's what the cerebral cortex does. It takes some very, very important nerve cells and puts them in this area, and it gathers it so that you have lots of nerve cells. You have so many, in fact, that we would have to say there are 100 billion nerve cells in your brain. That's a lot. 100 billion is a lot. Okay, next slide. All right. This is a brain. It's cut in half. And I'm going to explain the stress reaction to you. But first, I think that you can tell me what the stress reaction is. So when you get stressed, I'd like people to participate now. When you get stressed, what is it that you experience in your body that lets you know that you're being stressed?
The heart rate and the blood pressure go up.
Yes, they do. They go up immediately. Great. Heat. Yes, you feel, you get energized. There are release of chemicals that actually we burn very quickly for energy. Anything else that you can think of automatically?
Have trouble breathing?
Yes, your breathing gets very much more rapid. Okay. I think that's a good start. Okay. Well, here is the brain. And so basically there is a more rapid reaction that helps us deal with stress, and then a reaction that is a little bit slower. So the first thing that happens is that now the amygdala is in the area where it says CRH and hypothalamus. So there is an amygdala, and the amygdala is an emotional sensor. And in particular, it senses anxiety, distress, fear, aggressiveness. And very interestingly, as an aside, in those people who have been arrested as serial killers, who we know have no remorse, they have actually very small amygdalas. It just doesn't, emotionally, what they're doing does not affect them. We have very developed amygdala, which gives us the input about emotion that we need. So from the amygdala, the impulse is taken to the hypothalamus, and that's sort of the control center. And the control center, the hypothalamus, works through the autonomic nervous system to activate our sympathetic nervous system. And that is what the fight or flight reaction is. So the sympathetic nervous system is touched by autonomic nerves, and they start the adrenal gland functioning in a rapid fashion to secrete certain chemicals. And the chemical that the adrenal gland secretes that gets us going immediately, you all know, it's adrenaline or epinephrine. And so everything that you've talked to me about what you immediately feel, is the result of this initial secretion of epinephrine or adrenaline. That's what gets us on edge. That's what gets us ready to fly, yes. Okay. After that reaction subsides some, there is another reaction. It also starts from the hypothalamus, but it goes in a different direction. So instead of secreting chemicals like epinephrine, now hormones kick in. So this second part of the response to stress is mediated by hormones. And there's a signal from the hypothalamus that goes to the pituitary gland to release a substance called corticotrophin releasing factor. And that factor is released from transmitted to the pituitary gland, which releases a factor which gets a different part of the adrenal gland working. So we had one part of the adrenal gland working in the immediate response. There's another part of the adrenal gland, the cortex, which works in the more delayed response, and that secretes cortisol. And there you have it. A magnificent organ. Okay. All right. So now we're going to spend some time talking about what happens when there's too much stress. How do you know when there's too much stress? How do you know when you need to see a physician, a psychiatrist? If you are grieving and you are crying and you are thinking a lot about a person whom you've lost, and even if you hear them calling your name, which under ordinary circumstances would be diagnosable as an hallucination, that is considered to be normal grief. And you may come to see a psychiatrist or see a therapist, but it is not a diagnosis which your insurance company is going to pay for. It's called normal bereavement. However, if the grief gets so intense that you are not sleeping right, that you are not eating right, that your energy is very, very low, then it's clear that your body is beginning to have some disequilibrium. So remember the concept of homeostasis, which is equilibrium. When the grief gets to a point where it becomes more difficult than you can manage, then you develop the disease of depression. And that's when we want you to come see a psychiatrist, because that is very readily treatable. The symptoms that you're going to experience if the stress becomes overwhelming, which will help you notice that you're not doing well, the primary category, the primary criterion for that is that you have to be unable to enjoy things that are normally pleasurable for you. and that's called anhedonia. And that's one of the criteria which is a major criterion for depression. And the other criterion which is a major criterion for depression is feeling sad part of every day or feeling sad every day. When I see patients in my office, things are changing some at the mental health center now, and several of our doctors have left, and so former patients are becoming my new patients. The first questions I ask them when they look depressed to me are, what are you able to enjoy that you normally used to? And how sad are you feeling, and how long does it last? When people become depressed, they generally sleep either fewer hours than usual or very many more hours than usual. The appetite becomes variable, so it can either decrease significantly with significant weight loss, or on the other hand, it may increase, and people can often gain a lot of weight. There's trouble with motivation, there's trouble with energy, there's trouble with concentration. People feel guilty. They have really exaggerated guilt feelings. So those are the times that the stress becomes overwhelming, and the times when you really should seek professional help. Are there any questions about that now? Okay. All right. Yes. Okay. So we're going to spend a fair amount of time talking about stress management. And fortunately, there is some relief. So again, I just want to see what you have as your resources before I start speaking. So what do you use now that you know is stress reducing? Yes?
Listening to music.
Excellent. Listening to music, yes. Fabulous. Okay. What else? Exercise. Okay. How many of you socialize to relieve stress? How many of you find your friendships, close friendships, stress relieving? How many find the people whom you love to be wonderful to talk to when you're feeling stressed? Okay. Arts and creativity. How many of you write poetry when you're feeling stressed? Or journal when you're feeling stressed? Journal. So recently I saw a new patient who was referred from the hospital to me. And the patient very tragically had lost a child to a motor vehicle accident when that child was young. And so she was living with that stress sort of in check her entire life. And then she had a partner with whom she was staying for 18 years. And the patient's partner died. And so when she presented to me, the crux of the matter, clearly her physiology was not doing well. I mean, she was having all sorts of disturbances in equilibrium. But her primary complaint at that point was extreme loneliness. And she had also lost someone already. And so when you have suffered a loss and then there's another loss that gets telescoped, all of your losses sort of come into focus at the same time. And so basically this patient's complaint was that she was feeling extremely lonely. Fortunately, with some medication, she has done better. She actually prefers a more solitary type existence. She's not a social butterfly, not very extroverted. But she's making an effort now to connect with people because the human connection is very soothing. Not always. I mean, I hear a lot about that. Believe me, I hear a lot about that in my office. It's not always soothing, but it can be very soothing. I saw another patient yesterday who writes stories when she's depressed. I had another patient who is a professional in the mental health field who actually meditates and was reading a book on meditation for the treatment of depression. I work in the mental health center, and there are significant changes that are going on with health care, and all of my patients are very stressed. They are stressed about a medication that they're being given for free at the mental health center, which is going off the free program, and will cost them $609 a month, which is, it's inconceivable for me, I'm sure for most of us. It is unimaginable for these people to have to afford their medications. This is what I see every day in my practice, and these people are all stressed, and many of them become depressed. And what I would like you to do, if you feel that the stress is distress, it is not eustress, if it's chronic and not acute, I would like you to consider thinking about professional help. Now, we will talk later about other ways to deal with this stress without taking medication, and I'm sure that you have given me some ideas about what you do already. But that will be for the second part of the talk. All right. I guess I'll stay here now. How'd you do it? How'd you do it?
You had to export
You have an
instead of just
excellent
save.
presentation from Dr. Clark, and I hope he won't really mind to stick around.
Not at all.
Okay, so she is going to be here.
Take the mic.
We will have
Sure.
a short break of about 10 minutes. And after the 10-minute break, we will have a stretching, and then we will have, Dr. Clark has a 5 minutes, and she is going to talk about that. And then after that, she will be hanging around here. And then we will have a 5 minutes of Andre, and then we will have our visitor.
Man ought to know that from the brain and from the brain alone arise our pleasures, joys, laughter, jest, as well as our sorrows and pains. I hold that the brain is the most powerful organ of the human body, wherefore I assert that the brain is the interpreter of consciousness. 400 BC. Coolidge Jackson in the 1850s, he talked about the self. Self, however, is dependent on the evolution of anatomically new structures. Self is the manifestation of this highest level of consciousness, which involves doubling. Doubling is established when we reflect on what is going on in our lives that gives us a sense of an inner life. So doubling when we have introspection and we see our life flowing, that is what he called doubling. And then the last person I wanted to quote was E.S. Krishnamurthy, who is the director of the Institute of Neurosciences in Madras. And he gave a computer comparison. He said that the mind cannot be localized to any particular areas in the brain, but he thought that the entire cerebral cortex, that folded part, was the most important components. And then he went on to say that consciousness, perception, behavior, language, motivation, and the urge to excel are the product of extensive and complex linkages between the different parts of the brain. And so what makes up your mind at any given point in time is a result of what connections are occurring in areas of the brain. And it is not in a place in the brain, but it is rather fluid connections that give you your mind at different points in time. Okay, the slide before. All right. So we're very, this is the Burn system of relaxation, and I've asked you about this, I've asked you questions about this before. But it's divided into behavior, exercise, relaxation, and nutrition. We can start with nutrition, which is the simplest. Dr. Gautam has talked to you about how to be well nourished. I have a protein shake before I go to work every morning, and before I work out and after I work out, I modify my diet to make sure that I'm eating healthy. There are some healthy supplements that you can buy, not all of them, but some of them. So relaxation, I'm just going to touch on very, very briefly because our next guest speaker is going to talk about it. But religious beliefs, meditation, spirituality, all of that is easily employed to reduce stress. Mindfulness, there is a whole burgeoning field of mindfulness, eating mindfulness, meditation, mindfulness, therapy. If we can keep our minds focused on the here and now and not let our minds be troubled by extraneous noise, that is very relaxing. That's all I'm going to say so that Swami can follow. Now, exercise. So when we started the talk, I talked to you about my marijuana store in my body? Well, there are recently discovered endogenous cannabinoids. And so people say, yay, body. So we have marijuana-like substances that are floating around in our body that are released in particular in a range of exercise, which is intermediate exercise. So taking a very pleasant walk is very good for us, but it will not release endocannabinoids. This is now thought to be what is responsible for the runner's high, taking the place more than endorphins. Now, we also have endogenous morphine floating around in our system. And get another round of applause for the body. And it is very helpful to end stress. And it also has some analgesic properties. And this is circulating in your body. And it is released at appropriate times. And when you calm down from stress, your body is then having morphine secreted. Okay. So exercise is wonderful, and if you want to runner's high, you'll have to push a little bit. It has to be intermediate. And so the last thing is what we talked about to begin with, when I asked you what you were doing to relax. Writing, friendship. Human contact is immensely important to keep us in equilibrium. Love is important. Books, creativity, writing poetry. Doing things that are pleasurable for you, whatever they are. Going for a walk in the country. If you use these techniques, all of those will help you release stress. I don't have a chill pill. There is no pill that I can prescribe that will relieve all of your stress. I need your help in relieving stress. So these are things that you can do to manage stress yourself.
Okay, since we are, I was telling at the beginning about the volunteers, what kind of good volunteers I have. Andre came to me and he said, look, I can talk magic of moments all life long. Our visitor is from India, and this is the first time he has been here, and he will be gone in about 48 hours. And then we don't know when he will be back. Okay? So therefore he is sacrificing. Thank you, Andre. Okay, let me just give you a brief introduction for my teacher. I call him, and he says, call me my friend, philosopher, and guide. A large number of the things that I told you here, I've been telling you for a long time, they are his advice. A short story about that in the late 70s, he went to the institutions called IITs. There are some Indian physicians here and Indians are here, they know. IITs are called elite institutions of India. You saw Leslie's 60-minute story about 3 years back. All these big companies that you see, whether it is a question of Microsoft or whatever. Like in Google, the top 6 people out of the 3 top are Indians. A couple of them are from the same school that he went. So he did his IIT, Masters in Electronic Engineering. Now, so you imagine that with all that institution, and after studying all that, he was really working hard. That is the time he started developing a sense of wonder. Because the curiosity is almost the most important thing that as human beings we all have to know. And there are a lot of, that's why you see, and this is only a very selected publications we have here. There are some of his books. It's one of these powerful books, if you ever have a chance to read, is Erase the Ego. Probably the most powerful that is written. That all with that he has, at least the time he really decided that he has to do far more wonderful things than really developing another technological things or telecom revolution. What he really tried to do is, and sometimes that's why when I introduced him in Raleigh, for the last 4 or 5 days he was in Raleigh packing audiences, and they said what was the loss to the technical world is the greatest gift to the spiritual world. And I am not going to really tell what he is going to tell, or whatever he has, but if you want to know more about it, you can acquire any of those CDs and others. The 4 things I want to really tell you about, which is very important about it. The one thing that I remember, we can read all the books. With the Google and commoditization of information, you can read anything. Last December, my wife and I, we went and met him in a city called Varanasi. When you really meet, friend, there are 2 important things that are important, at least I personally think. You can meet the greatest professor, you can meet the greatest engineers and advisors and the coaches and others. When you meet a person, you really always feel the energy. You can really see it. And remember, like we talk in America, talk the talk and walk the walk. He is that person. And from just like say, you first try to love, I first felt it, I almost surrendered my ego to him. And I said, here is a man who can really make some change. And at least he can guide me to really, the principle, we can take all our lives, but try to learn. Remember, I gave the talk on giving. So many ideas on giving, and they are in my book also, on the giving, because giving, that's why that is. Second, which is very important, he has got like Dr. Gulak referred about J.D. Krishnamurti. For the last 10 years, he is regarded as a global authority on J.D. Krishnamurti. He is one of the most famous quote of J.D. Krishnamurti. If you really go to Harvard and all those places, there are books and volumes are there. They have powerful words like, love is a flame without a smoke. And there are so many things that he will talk. The third, the most important thing that in the life, he will talk about the happiness, and the fourth, he will talk to you something about relaxation. So without much, let us give him a rounding applause. No,
Namaste. Salutations to all, and I thank Gautam ji for his very generous comments about me. I'm just actually one of you going on learning in life. I would at the outset say about my presentation, you got every reason to relax, for there is not going to be much that's going to be presented before you to try to grasp using your head. It's very simple stuff. There are just a few slides, and as a reference was made by Dr. Gautam to Krishnamurti, my highlight will be about the teaching of some of those mystics called self-inquiry. It's about knowing oneself. I will slowly move to the center of the theme. So, next slide. First of all, present topic today is art and science of relaxation. I look at these two words in this way. Art is more about intuition, creativity. There are no rigid rules there. And science generally is about reason, logic, going step by step to what appeals to our intellect. In the context of relaxation and in the general area of what we call self-knowledge, as the last bullet here shows, the key to relaxation is returning to our own hidden true nature. I admit this is a proposition which requires some amount of faith, belief. it's not so much establishable by reason. But in the East, in India especially, we have had a long standing tradition of school of wisdom, where it is said that you and I deep within are free. This may raise eyebrows. Once more, I would like you to just give benefit of doubt and not accept it just like that. You could look at it as, oh, is that so? Are we in our true nature peace? Are we in our true nature freedom? That's interesting. If you just give benefit of doubt to this proposition, we can then get going from there. So, it's all about returning to our own inner potential. There is peace within us waiting to be discovered. Next one. My teacher, with whom I had the privilege of spending 13 years, used to say wittily, look, all happiness is within you. Do not depend on things outward so much. You need wealth, you need friends, you need many things in life, but ultimately do not have a slavish dependence on all these things outside. And he summarized those words in this statement: do not put the key to your happiness in someone else's pocket. Be with yourself when you need to do so. Have the ability to return to yourself. Of course, it's a science altogether, because mere statements do not take us far, and we need to examine what is meant by returning to oneself. Next, please. One more. No, I think back. There are some words in between. How come the words did not come? Oh, it doesn't matter, there's not much really. I think some 2 words were there. In the school of wisdom called the Vedanta in India, we have an illustration. There was a lady, and one evening she was all set to go to a party, and she was well dressed and ready to go, and then she looks for a necklace. Where is that? Is it in that drawer? She goes, doesn't find it. Is it in that cupboard? Opens, doesn't find. A third corner, another room, and she gets very, very agitated, gets angry with her son, daughter. The whole family is about to leave. And finally, when she is frustrated and sits down on a chair, and I was so keen to wear that necklace. And where is that necklace? Her daughter comes and says, Mom, cool down, and holds a mirror in front of her. Please take a look. And the necklace is right there on her neck. Now you may ask, why did the daughter wait so long? If the daughter had tried it a little before, she would have smashed the mirror. So the daughter waited for the mother to be a little available. This is an illustration given to highlight the point that many a time it's our mind which plays tricks. So the moving away from a relaxed state could be, we don't say it is all the time so, it could be a play of our own mind. At this point I must clarify that all that I am talking refers to agitations or disturbances caused psychologically. If there is an objective physical problem, there is real physical ill health, there is an actual damage to house or property or finances, there also I must say that on one hand there is an objective problem, and there is, in addition to it, psychological disturbance too, but what I am talking especially refers to mind created, self projected scenario of things are not all right, and one is restless, one is not able to sleep, one is not able to relate properly. So, there are always in our life a combination of factors causing unhappiness. One is functional, objective, material, another is fictitious, mind created, thought created domain. My presentation refers to the second part especially. So, like the lady who then found the necklace right on her neck, oh, it's here only. She didn't have to go anywhere. Possibly you and I could discover happiness within. So, broadly speaking, peace could be acquired from outside or peace could be uncovered, discovered or uncovered. Both these possibilities exist. We do not want to make a sweeping statement that in every situation there is peace right inside you. All the time close your eyes and look within, you may not find anything on occasions. But there are many occasions where definitely the peace is right inside you. Next one. Now, when we say psychological disturbances, many a time the cause is we are so caught in what we call I, me, my, and that is popularly called the smaller picture. I, me, my, what's in it for me? How come they did not acknowledge me? How come they did not respect me, recognize me, and so on. This obsession with the self-obsession is often the cause for much agitation. And when we see the larger picture and instead of I, we talk about we, not only talk, that would be a lip service, we really feel the so-called we would propose that right away much of our agitation reduces. I would present 3 exercises before you in the context of art and science of relaxation, and I will dwell a little more in the third where I happen to have more expertise. The first one, and I am so glad here we actually did a couple of those exercises, breathing exercises. I was thanking the gentleman who taught us that or guided us, that I myself learnt one of them newly today, the one where we folded the hands and bent down and bend down, exhaling and straighten up, inhaling. I am going to do every day, thank you again. Breathing exercise, and I have actually studied during my studies at the spiritual centers the little philosophy behind this whole thing. Apart from benefits to the body, physiological aspects, breathing does much good to the mind. Breath and thought are related. An illustration given in one of the Sanskrit texts in India says, like you have a branch of a tree which again then splits into 2 branches, in every one of us there is a certain energy and then it splits into 2 forms of energy. Breathing is one expression of that energy and thinking is another expression of the same energy. Now, why this illustration of 2 branches shooting out from the same source? If you have a tree and a branch which splits into 2, to pull one would be to pull the second also. Like I pull one leg of a table, the three other legs also come towards me. Likewise, you regulate breathing, thinking and feeling are bound to get regulated. And otherwise, other way also, if somehow your thinking becomes regulated, without your knowing, your breathing also gets regulated. Breathing and thinking are closely interconnected, and therefore, one exercise you and I could anyway or at any time do for relaxation is regulated breathing. Thought then subsides. Whatever is built by thought. Once I read or came across a humorous saying, in this world, understandably, many people are tired by work. But what is difficult to understand is, many others are tired by thought of work. We get tired by work, we get tired by thought of work. I guess there are people who come to office in the morning and looking at the files or looking at the pending work, say, shall we go have some tea and come? They haven't begun at all, but the thought. So we must see in simple and complicated situations how this thinking machine called the mind often causes to us much agitation. So this is one exercise, and you have been practicing some simple breathing exercises. Keep it up. I also have decided today to be more regular in breathing exercises every day. Next. Breath and thought, I explained this already, are like two branches of one source. The second exercise which is worth practicing is visualization. We could visualize varieties of things as per our taste. We could visualize serene places, mountains, rivers, meadows, or we could visualize being in the company of people whom we love, who actually might be far, but we could visualize association with them, sitting and having tea with them, discussing something with them, and so on. As in the earlier talk, it was very nicely expressed, reading, poetry, and so on, actually takes us to a different domain. As we read a piece of poetry, those words take us to another world altogether. Therefore, visualization could be scenarios or words or what we call inspirational passages also. A couple of words by evolved souls, like as an example I am presenting here Buddha's words, and as an example, and he said, everything changes, everything is transient. There is sorrow in life, but the best thing is sorrow can be ended. Positive messages that we can bring end to sorrow. Just these 3-4 words we repeat in our mind, dwell on the meaning of these words. This is at places called passage meditation. There was in California a teacher, Ishwaran. He popularized passage meditation, and one of the passages that he often used was the prayer of Saint Francis of Assisi. We just go over the couple of lines in that simple universal prayer. Hindus or Buddhists or Christians or Muslims, doesn't matter. I was so touched by that prayer. Though I am a Hindu, I used this prayer of Saint Francis of Assisi quite a lot. Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace. Where there is injury, may I bring relief. Where there is sorrow, may I sow happiness. Lord, it is in giving that we receive. It is in pardoning that we are pardoned. And the last line of that prayer is quite mystical. It's in dying that we are born to eternal life. Of course, it's explained, it's not about clinical death. It's in dying means dying to our ego, dying to this self-created prison of I, me and my. We say goodbye to that I, me and my. Then we are born to a new life. So, very wonderful, uplifting lines, and one goes over them. I would treat that also a form of visualization. Now comes another, I think the words are not seen, some technical error. There was just a simple point here. In India, we use two words, Bhava and Shiva. Bhava is the realm of change. Time, space, everything is changing. With the dawn of relativity theory, we know that even space and time are not absolute. Einstein pointed out all are subject to change. Time is relative. Space could be curved, difficult to imagine for most of us. Now, Bhava is the field of change, and spiritual wisdom proposes that beneath and below the realm of change, there is a changeless ground, and philosophically that is called Shiva. Then the Hindu religion personifies that and makes Shiva with a serpent on neck and so on, which could be very strange for those who are not familiar with it. But many times such pictures have a symbolism with them. A snake around his neck, he is at peace, this particular form of Shiva. Now, to sum it up, Shiva basically means peaceful substrate, ground, changeless ground beneath the field of change. Then of course, you have certain other diagrams and graphic representations. Now I come to the main area, self-inquiry. Self-inquiry is to always question, who am I? This question, who am I, is regarded by many thinkers as the most important spiritual question, in a manner of saying. For we get irritated when somebody takes us for granted, but the fact of the matter is, all the time we are taking ourselves for granted. Thoughts drawing from memories give to us a certain judgment with respect to somebody, or in comparison with some people. I think I am big. That is questionable. And looking at some other people, I feel I am small. I don't have the wealth she has, I don't have the looks that he has, I don't have the knowledge that this person has. Thought tells me, therefore, I am so small. Spirituality questions all your ideas of either being big or small. In fact, one of the propositions in spiritual literature is, you are period. That means you are neither big nor small, neither good nor bad. In philosophy, we talk of pairs of opposites, good and bad, day and night, small and big, all that. And it is proposed in a rather mystical language, I admit, that the truth of your existence, deep inside you, you are beyond the pairs of opposites. That is a mystical proposition. One of the teachers who popularized self-inquiry, who am I inquiry, said, go to the source of thought. Thoughts as though rise in us from something deeper in us. That deeper truth is referred to as pure awareness, pure space of consciousness. And from that consciousness, which is like a wellspring, thoughts arise, and these thoughts create the sense of I. I am good is one thought, I am no good is another thought. If you were to go to the source, you are just pure awareness. So, go to the source, stay at the source, then the mind will relax. The wonder of wonders here is the mind relaxes without your doing anything about it. You just be the witness, you just watch at your thought. I know it is easier said than done. Thoughts are so powerful, they hijack us and we have no way to find the ground. But try, maybe breathing exercises help you in that. When thoughts arise, for a change, don't analyze them, don't meddle with them, don't try to control them, nor encourage them, do nothing. A friend of mine calls it the great yoga of doing nothing. Otherwise, in yoga, we got to do something. But there is another great yoga of doing nothing. But why is it great? Because it is not easy to do nothing. We are so used to doing everything, something or other we are all the time doing. I once said to somebody, can you sit quietly for 5 minutes? And he said to me, yes, I am going to sit quietly. But before I go, tell me, I sit quietly and do what? Oh, because it's a habit. Sit quietly and do what? I said, sit quietly, don't do anything at all. Very hard. Stay at the source, do nothing, the mind on its own will relax. Like a plant which you do not water dies a natural death. In that manner, negative thoughts, disturbances die down on their own, provided you are able to look at them, watch them without doing anything. In this allied literature, it is said, leave alone our agitations about, oh, I messed it up, I didn't do that right, I was misunderstood, oh, I was not received well here or there. All these are about what happened to me or what I did. As the fourth bullet shows here, leave alone the thing that I did well or did not do well. The idea I am the doer is said to be questionable. It's almost like in physics, no one suspected that time could be relative. But Einstein said time is relative. If a particle were to go at speeds comparable with that of light, then you would see the truth of it. As long as things are moving slowly, everything seems to be on the axis of time, and the axis of time itself is unquestionable. But when things are moving very fast, like speeds comparable to that of light, then time itself is relative. So there is a whole lot of literature there. Likewise, I am the doer, I spoke, I ate, I did something sinful or some other place, I did something so meritorious. All of us carry this idea, and if you think about it, many times our sorrow, our great unrest inside is related to an idea of what I did, which could have been 3 months ago, 3 years ago, or 30 years ago. Like standing before you here in this beautiful hall with all friendly vibrations that you are emanating, my mind could go to something that I did 30 years ago where somebody was put to terrible injustice. Knowingly or unknowingly, suppose I had committed something terrible. The thought of that fills me with agitation, and I may get even afraid. All of them are looking at me as a nice fellow, nice pious person from India, but they don't know what I did 30 years ago. And so far Gautam also doesn't know. I hope nobody would come to know. Who is causing this stress in me, fear in me, agitation? A memory, and it is just a thought. Now, in self-inquiry, all thoughts are made to subside, not to make you irresponsible, but it frees you from unnecessary burdening of the past. You learn to live in the present. In fact, rather than making you irresponsible, it in fact gives you courage. When needed, you will be with chest up able to say, yes, I made that mistake 30 years ago, I am sorry for it, and I am ready to compensate for it in whatever way possible. You have the transparency, but unless warranted, you would not just like that go to that sad event. The mind is a silent mind. Generally, our mind is so noisy. Deepak Chopra says a man typically thinks 60,000 thoughts per day, and 55,000 of them are what he thought the earlier day. Repetition. Our mind is so repetitive, it has become like a machine. Can we have a silent mind, not a dumb or stupid mind? Out of a certain spiritual maturity, can thoughts go to the background? Whatever is really needed may come to the foreground. That is possible through self-inquiry. Next one. In this way, as the mind becomes a bit silent, thanks to breath observation or breath regulation, thanks to visualization, or thanks to this questioning, who am I? When the mind becomes more balanced, we find our feet firmly on the ground. Lao Tzu in Dao De Ching says, if you are going up and down the ladder, which is what we do in the world in general, our position is always shaky. When we stand with our 2 feet on the ground, we will keep our balance. This is more symbolic language. Whether busy in activity or retired, the inner mental condition is pointed to here. It is not so much about whether you are active or not active outside. In fact, it is good to be active, good to be moderately active, to be active so that we keep our body and mind in a vibrant condition. But inwardly, if we could pay attention to the changeless ground, then we could find peace. Next one. Another simple point, even as the mind becomes calmer, we come to see other angles of view. Somebody gets angry with us, let us say. First, we get angry that she is angry with us, we too might get angry. But then, when the mind is a little calmer, we begin to try to understand why is she angry. And many times, rather than getting angry with the person who is upset with us, we could become sympathetic. In fact, long back I read some literature which I received from USA only. When somebody gets angry with you, please look at that person as possibly needing help. I said, this is wonderful. So next day somebody got angry with me and I said, do you need help? They got very angry. Then I read up again what I received over an email from US. I said, there was a footnote, don't go and tell the person, do you need help? Only understand that that person might be in help. So I learnt how to sympathize without saying you need help, which would annoy to no end. Anyway, last slide, I wish to say that spiritual wisdom is available in nook and corner of the world, in all the great religions, or in new religion or no religion. It now comes to us in packaged and unpackaged forms. Sages speak of it in different ways. Spiritual wisdom is one, religions are many. I thank all of you for this patient hearing. I thank Gautam and the other volunteers and organizers here. And above all, I thank every one of you who heard with much attention. Thank you and have a great day ahead.
Well, Swamiji, I think I'm so thankful of you for all the years. Since our time is only we have 5 minutes left. As you know, we always start at 9 and we always finish at 11. The last thing that we learned is that there are certain number of people who have attended 5. Remember I told you about my book, that if you attend 5 sessions, then you are entitled for the free copy. And in that case,
Thank you very much.
according to the Mike Sanchez is the person who keeps the record, there are 18 people who have attended 6 sessions. So if you are here, Swamiji put in the card, just to stand here, this is our Indian tradition, that rather than I give my book to them, I would like to have the honors that Swamiji let he gives the book. The first one, of course, this is going to be to Dr. Gluck. Dr. Gluck, would you please come and receive your free book? Let's give him a round Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Okay, now out of that, the only condition has to be that you have to be here. You are here, then you are entitled. If you are not here, then somebody else can. There is a Tiffany Womack. Is Tiffany here this time? If she missed it, then she missed it. Okay. Let's give her a the next one is a Frank De Silva. Frank, we really appreciate that. Okay, the next one is Phyllis Mann. Phyllis Mann. Is Phyllis here? Okay, come on, Phyllis. You are invited. Phyllis has been coming regularly. Thank you. As a matter of fact, she bought also some books, okay? Then we have got, next one is Chris Wickline. Chris. Okay, next is, of course, the good old Michael Sanchez. Michael. Okay, Michael will come to the next one. Okay, next one is Leslie Kivera. Leslie. Okay. The next one is Rodney McCann. Rodney is not here, but Rodney is better. Okay, Rodney is better. She's a, well, you can receive that.
Yes.
Yeah, like that. Okay, the next one is a Hope Butler. Hope. Okay, the next one is, of course, our Joanne. Joanne is Stenson. Joanne, please come on. You have been the, she's the almost, she never accepts it. She just keeps on working. Thank you, Joanne. Okay, and the next one is Ken Digby. Dr. Ken Digby. Okay, Dr. Ken Digby. The next one is Polly Washington. Polly here. Polly Washington is here. Then is our Helga Bear. Okay. Next one is Louis Shaw. Lou? Next one is she's her last name is Giddy, Giddy. Am I pronouncing the name? Chezur. Giddy. No, she's not. Next one is a Sandlin Moore Thompson. Next one is. Thank you. Next one is a Charles Lovelace. Okay. The next one is, of course, is Carol Shaw. And next one is Andre. Next one is, of course, is a and last but not the least is Andre. Is there anybody else who has attended 5? Oh, there are. Okay, please come on in then, okay? I still have 3 copies, okay? If you came, then you are entitled. I'm sorry, but mine did not give me the list. Okay? Jim. Has recorded all of them, and hopefully we'll try to put those things on our web. Well, thank you very much for coming. We will have an announcement. If your name is there, make sure that your name and telephone number is on our list. Our volunteers will make it sure of it. They will carry the program. But always remember, first Saturday of
Forsyth. I've been coming to these happy yoga sessions.
Look at me.
Okay.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Glenn Forsyth. I've been coming to these happy yoga sessions. This is my 4th one. I found that this has been very beneficial to my whole life as to how I feel and how I think about myself and about the others around me. This has helped me realize that I've been dwelling too much on things that are not beneficial. This makes me enjoy myself, enjoy my life, enjoy the people I'm with better. Because of this, I've been able to focus on losing weight and improving myself. Since I've been doing this, I've lost about 20 pounds. And hopefully, if I do this for the next year, I'll lose a whole bunch more. But I am enjoying this, and I enjoy the people. And I'm very happy that I've came to this.
That's perfect. Okay. I can't ask you anything else other than that.
Okay?
Anything else you want to say?
Nope, that's it.
Yeah, that was great. Nobody could have stripped that one for you better. Yeah, there we go. All right. Thank you, sir.
Hi, my name is Ken. Hi, my name is Ken Digby. That's D-I-G-B-Y. I've known Sid for a number of years. He was an old instructor of mine years and years ago, and he's always, very active. And I think it's really wonderful that he's presenting this thing to people, and it's totally free of charge. I have read his book already. I actually bought it when it first came out, and I knew about it, and it is really good. And his interest in the well-being of people. I mean, that showed, of course, in his work with the Cumberland County, then the Cape Fear Valley Hospital. But he's always done a lot for this community over his 40 years. And this particular session was interesting because it helped me personally. I mean, I feel better. I unfortunately lost my wife a couple years ago, and so it's kind of struggling for things, and it's really nice to have someone to talk to and and to participate with this group, and they're very active and interested. And I just can't say enough about Sid. He does so much for everybody.
Can you give me an example of how you feel better?
Well, physically I feel better. Actually, I've lost a little weight. Actually, I do have a knee problem, and I was thinking about having the operation, but actually I've lost some weight, and they say that 1 pound that you lose is 5 pounds off your knee, and so my knee doesn't feel that bad at all. So that's, but his just the general sense of comfort. I don't know. It's
More at ease with yourself?
yes, yeah. I think that's great.
How about stress? Talk about stress.
Well, stress is everywhere with us. I don't really. I'm pretty well retired right now. I still teach some classes, and I enjoy the people. I really enjoy the students. But stress-wise, it's. I think I can pretty well handle it for the most part. And I had a career 20 years in the Army and stuff, and another couple 20 plus in education. So I guess I learned to handle stress. But yeah, there's no doubt that you got to rethink of this thing. And I'm very pleased to hear the speaker today too, because she made some good ideas and I think it was very helpful.
Helps to take our eyes off of us.
Yes, it sure does.
Anything else you want to say?
No, I think I want to thank Sid just for all of his things, for the whole years and all of his particular things. So, thanks.
Start with tell me your name and spell it.
Good morning. My name is David Miller, Miller. This is my third seminar I've been to. Every one of them have been very helpful. They're a little bit different. They build on each other, have improved my life, and have talked to other people about the course. So it's a lifelong journey. I had learned things relearned things from decades ago that I rejected, but now I can put my arms around them and enjoy them. And also relate to other things that I'm going through in my life. I'm a much better person for attending. I'm going to be a better person tomorrow. Thank you. Okay.
There you go. Perfect. All right.
Make sure I don't have oranges in my teeth.
Or corn from last night.
Right, well, that's gone, believe me.
All right, first of all, your name and I think however you want, if I put your name on the screen, however you want it to be shown. And
oh, okay, gotcha.
if you want Jennifer Lacombe Thompson or just Jennifer Thompson or whatever.
Okay.
And then just talk about the program a little bit. I might ask you a couple questions.
Oh, okay, goodness. About the program today, or in particular?
How this has affected you, or how this has changed before you came and since you've been coming.
Alrighty, I'm Jennifer Thompson, and I met Sid at the Healthplex. I'm not really exactly sure how we met, but we bonded immediately, and we became friends. And he told me about his book, Happiness Yoga, or no, I'm sorry, Happiness is You, and gosh.
So you started coming to the things here.
Yeah, I moved by his selflessness. He's not accepting any money. This is all done from love, and it's amazing how it's grown. I think there were 5 or 6 people at the first one, and I don't know how many people were here today, like 50 people. He's really insightful, and I think that it's wonderful that he is able to open up the minds of so many people through this program.
What do you know now that you didn't know before you started coming?
Oh, I know now.
Relaxation.
Yeah, I already had been, and I think that Sid and I are like souls, because we, and I think that people that are on this journey tend to, know it when you meet. So I've already have done a lot of work with like my breathing and meditation and things like that. It's more of a reinforcement for me, and I enjoyed listening to the Swami today too. That's just all of the the meditations and the breathing techniques and all that are all really interesting to me.
Is there anything you did not know before you met Sid or before all of this, or that has helped you?
Gosh, not that I can think of. I guess I'm just, I am in awe and I'm in wonder about the,
There's no pressure.
yeah, I think more so than actually picking up new things, it is more of a reinforcement, and I'm noticing more and more people like Sid who are doing things from their heart, and how it's really expanding the consciousness of everyone. Case in point, the people that come here are not the people that I would normally meet that seem to be on this type of journey. There's a lot of people from the HealthPlex and things like that who just wouldn't strike me as the people pursuing happiness. They kind of seem...
It's hard, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I know you're going to edit the hell out of this.
I'll use a line here and there.
Yeah.
So what you're telling me is confirmation that you're on the right track.
There you go.
How
This
does that make you feel?
I feel very inspired, and coming to something like this inspires me to take the word and spread it out and spread the happiness all over.
Have you brought more people?
Yes.
How many,
yeah.
How many people have you brought?
So far, I've brought, at different ones, I brought 5 or 6 different people, but I started posting it on Facebook, and I had a lot of responses yesterday. I didn't see anybody here today, but that's gonna, Sid was talking earlier about us having to move to the Coliseum because it's getting bigger and bigger, and someone laughed, and I was thinking, oh no, don't laugh. This is gonna be big. It's gonna be bigger. Yes, it will.
How about the people you brought? Have they changed at all?
The people that I have brought were already on their own kind of path, and we're people like that. I think we reach out for different things. So I think that they probably have had their own personal transformation just from this, but they also have, there's so many things that happen when you start to open yourself up to being happy on purpose, and so it's just one of those building blocks.
If someone was having trouble relaxing, letting go, holding on to everybody else's troubles, you got any suggestions for them?
I always tell people to breathe into your belly, and he confirmed it today. Breathing is connected to your mind, and when you're able to relax and breathe and take deep breaths, you actually slow your thinking, and you're able to relax and slow your heartbeat and all that.
That sounds like good advice.
Thank you.
Anything else you want to say?
It's good, I think. Yeah, thank you.
I'll probably get you another time.
That's okay. Yes, I should practice a little more. He told me at the beginning. He said.